not.
Hello, and welcome to Tarantulia. I'm Leah, and today I've got a Poecilotheria regalis rehouse. Check it out. Alright, let's talk about the Poecilotheria regalis, which is also known as the Indian ornamental, or the regal parachute spider. This is a fairly large tarantula from throughout India, making it an old world tarantula. Their temperament, they tend to be defensive and fast, and they will bite if they are provoked, which means cornered, and they don't have any other options. But I found that mine is pretty calm, but still not a spider that I really want to spook. So, their lifespan can be from 10 to 12 years for a female tarantula and 2 to 3 years for a male tarantula. As I said before, they are also a large species of tarantula, making them about 6 to 7 inches in diagonal leg span, and they are very fast growers. Their climate in India is typically about 72 degrees to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, with 60 to 80% humidity. And as you can see, that's why I loaded up the substrate in this enclosure with quite a bit of moisture, just to maintain that humidity. The venom from this tarantula is said to be the most potent venom in all of the world of tarantulas. Taking a bite from one of these tarantulas will leave you with major irritation and burning at the bite, muscle and joint pain, stomach pain, and a major headache that can last for 6 months to an entire year. So taking a bite from this tarantula would not be ideal, as it is very, very bad. This bite would be medically significant for a very, very young person or a very old person, depending on health conditions and other things like that. Now, as you can see, I've got a little bit of water going into a water dish here. I always include a water dish in pretty much all of the enclosures that I build. I've also put out some dried magnolia leaves. And on the cork ground that I'm about to put into this enclosure, you can see that I've already glued a few pieces of foliage and leaves to the outside of it before I put it into the enclosure, which makes it a lot easier for that foliage to be present. That way, this tarantula can make webs and enjoy its new home. I tried to set this cork ground up about as vertical as I possibly could. However, it just glued kind of funny to the side, but no worries. It's been a couple of weeks since I actually recorded this, and the Poecilotheria regalis that I put in this enclosure is doing just fine with the cork ground where it is. Now I'm going to be putting a few leaves and foliage around the sides of the enclosure. As you can see, I've got my little magnets that are going to magnetize those leaves to the sides of the plastic. This makes making enclosures a lot easier, and it also makes it more enjoyable for the tarantulas. They feel a little bit more secure and less defensive. This is an incredibly beautiful tarantula, but it is not for beginners. So keep that in mind. You might want to get a little bit of practice with other tarantulas under your belt before you get yourself a Poecilotheria regalis. And here we have the tarantula itself. Again, as I said, this tarantula can be very spicy and fast and defensive, but thankfully I was able to get her rehoused without any incident. I just took her old enclosure and put it right inside the new enclosure and lightly tapped her right out into her new home. She didn't seem to mind it too much, but you will see that in just a moment. As I get the lid in preparation, I actually really did not want her to run up and out of the enclosure, so I tried to prepare the lid to make sure that the chances of her actually coming out of the enclosure were pretty slim. And here I am just lightly tapping and poking her out of the enclosure, not really trying to spook her too badly, but thankfully she was really, really cooperative. and she didn't do a whole lot of bolting, and she was much happier once she got into this new enclosure. She was able to stretch out all of her legs and just really relax. Using this method usually makes rehousings a lot easier, and the reason I used it with this one is just for that defensive qualities that this tarantula is known to have. You don't actually have to poke her out of the old enclosure. You could very well leave that enclosure in the new one overnight and she'll come out on her own. As you can see, one of my cats decided to give it a visit. Silly girl. See, I was able to reset some of the foliage that I knocked over while I was putting the old enclosure into the new one, and she stayed comfortably right on the side. And there she is. Look at that beautiful tarantula. Mine is still mostly a sub-adult. She hasn't grown completely, but I am really looking forward to her growing and just becoming a big, beautiful tarantula that she is. Alright everybody, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that Poecilotheria regalis rehouse, and I hope that you learned a few things about this incredible species, as I always love learning about incredible tarantula species and spiders. So if you liked what you saw, please feel free to like and subscribe, and if you would like, go ahead and leave a comment, tell me what you thought, and I will see you guys